anytime that I'm not playing black in CDH, I feel like I want to.
I would agree with that.
You know, like I always feel like I'm missing something. There's always just like the best win cons, the best tutors, the best consistency. I think black definitely gives that to EDH and CDH. In CDH, we're very big about consistency. And today we're going to look a little bit into EDH and kind of see how different they really are in comparison. And we might be surprised of how similar they really are.
Let's get to it. Welcome back, everyone, to the Turning Point Meta Podcast, where we talk about the decisions, techniques, and maneuvers throughout CEDH. I'm your host, Nate, and with me, as always, is my host, Chris.
Hey, guys. This week, it'll just be a regular podcast where we just sit down and talk. Cards will still be appearing. Animations will still happen. And other visuals to help assist in aiding of color that we're going over today, which is black.
So, let's just jump into it.
Why not?
It is black. It is time for the final single color on our list. Shockingly, the most played color.
Maybe the most powerful.
Possibly. I think we're going to talk about it a little bit. Obviously, as always, as we have been going through the colors, we use EDH Rec as a lot of the database for our numbers that we have here. And so this time is going to be a little bit easier. It's going to be a little bit more streamlined because there's going to be categories.
Oh, thank God.
Right? There's going to be something for us to work with. There is going to be a structure, so to speak.
Okay.
Which, very helpful.
I love categories.
Exactly. I think it's just best that we hop right into it.
Sure.
And we will obviously go into EDH first and foremost. So, first and foremost, on the very top of the list, we're going to talk about tutors. Something that black does very well is tutor.
Cool. Go get any card that you really want.
Yes. I was going to say, for the most part, there are a few exceptions.
Okay.
But black usually tutors unconditionally.
Okay.
Unless, of course, it says... for instance, like, this is not on our list, but just as a caveat to something that wouldn't, line up with most tutors is like Beseech the Queen, where it tutors up the amount of lands you control.
Beseech the Queen. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I'm like, Beseech the Mirror? I'm like, no, Beseech the Queen.
Beseech the Queen. It's a little bit different.
Okay.
But that's because you're searching up a certain mana value.
Sure. You have to reveal it.
Exactly.
Kind of like with blue.
Yeah, a little bit.
Green
yeah.
sometimes, yeah.
Exactly. So, okay. But besides those, let's just jump into these tutors. So, number one on the list. Can you take a guess at what it might be? We have Demonic Tutor.
Ooh.
Demonic Tutor. One in a black. Search your library for any card at sorcery speed. Put it into your hand. Shuffle.
So not on the top of the library.
Not on the top of the library.
Ooh.
Directly into hand. So Demonic Tutor is the best tutor in our format. But I think on both sides of the format. Because, we kind of argued a little bit in red about Gamble possibly being better in a sense.
It goes to hand.
It goes to hand and it's one less mana, right?
Sometimes it goes to hand.
Sometimes
it doesn't.
Which is why I still would say the Demonic Tutor wins.
I don't know. It's an entomb. It's modal. It could be an entomb. It could be a Demonic Tutor.
You're absolutely not wrong. But I think overall we could probably argue that Demonic Tutor is probably the best tutor in the game.
Yes. Outside of it being sorcery.
Yes.
That's about the only thing. For sure. We'll see throughout the other tutors. Having card draw is always nice because then like the next one on our list is going to be Vampiric Tutor at 90% played. It puts it onto the top. And you lose 2 life. Is that correct?
You lose 2 life, yes.
Instant speed. 1 black. So we have these different comparisons between the two. It's like, cool, we put it on top in response to a draw trigger. If we had an opt, if we had a preordain, if we had a brainstorm, cool. It's when you think about it, it's 2 cards for the same thing that Demonic Tutor does itself. So realistic, it's like, well, you gotta have an A plus B. This one, Demonic Tutor, just has play it, get it.
Right, 100%.
No other pieces.
Yeah. Obviously, going and getting any card in whether it's EDH or CEDH is insanely powerful.
Get a counter spell.
You go get
a win con.
A win con. Go get a stacks piece.
Sure.
Go get, I don't know. Go get
a land.
Yeah, whatever you need. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right? I've seen people do it. I've seen people vamp tutor for a land because they got desperate.
You need your lands. You got to play your stuff. Otherwise, how are you going to play, other tutors and things
Yeah,
like
other
that. Yeah.
tutorial things in that of that nature. So as far as EDH is concerned, Demonic Tutor sees play in about 23% of decks.
Yep.
Pretty high, pretty good.
Sure.
And Vamp Tutor sees play in 19% of those decks. Also very good because, again,
Sure.
tutors are fantastic and unconditional tutors are even better.
Sure.
Again, tutors are great.
Okay.
Love Demonic, love Vampiric Tutor, just because unconditional tutors are good regardless of their mana cost, to be honest.
Yeah, it's hard to beat these in anything else outside of maybe getting things to Battlefield.
Yeah. And maybe the thing with Vampiric Tutor seeing a little bit less play, maybe people just don't really know how to utilize it very well as far as
Sure.
putting it on the top of their library, or maybe it just feels slow to EDH players. I don't know. I'm curious. Maybe you guys can let us know, unless maybe it's a price thing, but regardless.
Sure.
We're going to move right along.
Next
We're going to move
category.
to ramp.
Okay.
So ramp in black is obviously not something black does, quote unquote.
It doesn't do that.
So it doesn't ramp in the sense that like green ramps.
Oh, like you ramp and then you get that for the next turn and the
Right,
next
and then
turn
you
and the next
keep
turn.
it. Black
Okay.
doesn't do it really that way.
No.
But that does not mean that black can't ramp. And so the number one piece of ramp and the only piece of ramp that we're going to talk about in black is Dark Ritual.
Super good.
Dark Ritual is 1 black for an instant, gives you 3 black. Simple as that.
Cool.
That's all it does. So you would think of something that simple, like why does that even see play? But again, obviously EDH players playing it, it's about 22%
Sure.
of an inclusion rate for black.
Okay.
But I think a lot of black commanders that I'm trying to think of typically aren't cheap in their mana cost. I'm trying to think of like both Shieldrids,
Sure. 4.
Braids, what are some other mono black commanders that EDH players might?
There's Yawgmoth
himself.
Yeah, Yawgmoth. I've seen some people play that deck, and it's
Yeah.
absolutely disgusting. You wouldn't think, oh man, this deck's gonna go crazy and take a lot of counter spells with it. I would love to check that deck out again. Honestly,
It actually might be in a pretty good place right now, to be honest.
it's only 4 mana, and people are like, whatever. Just don't let him loop infinitely. It's like it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it might be a deck to look into. But yeah, so Dark Ritual is just good. I don't really know how to say anything more than that.
Turn 1 Chromatic Lantern,
Sure.
right? Turn 1 rock into another rock. Okay, just like you were saying with like green, or just colorless. It doesn't give you it that next turn, and that's kind of why like black and red are so good at what it is. Like, cool. I don't need to get to a next turn because I'm winning this turn.
Right.
So any spell based, and if you can reduce the spell by any means, I mean, Kirik, you just pay 2 life, and then you get 3,
Yep.
and you can put that into the colors now and pay your rest of your life into everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So it's insane. There's a couple other different ritual effects that we might get into CDH, but ritual based effects are heavy in red and heavy in black.
Right.
So we talked about tutors. We talked about ramp. Now let's talk about like a 2-for-1 kind of effect where I destroy something of mine and I get more benefit. Black is very good about that. Hey, lose life, get mana. Lose life, draw a card. Lose life. So we have 3 different spells. The first one is Victimize. The second one's Deadly Dispute. And the last one's Village Rites. They're all about 12 to 10% played in EDH. None of these see play in CDH. Deadly Dispute sees play in Pauper a little bit because it's quite interesting. So all of these effects are great. Victimize, we'll read it off. Choose 2 target creatures cards in your... Yeah. So Victimize is 2 and a black, a little bit expensive. Sorcery speed, not great. Choose 2 creature cards in your graveyard. Sacrifice a creature. If you do, return the chosen card to the battlefield tapped. Okay.
So you're reanimating 2 for the price of 1.
That's not bad, especially...
You're BOGOing your creatures.
You're BOGOing. So it's pretty good. Cool. Sacrifice 2 of my tokens because they don't have to be non-tokens, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Cool. Sacrifice 2 of my tokens. Go get Razaketh.
Right. Well, I mean, Razaketh and Grey Merchant of Asphodel.
Sure, that's good. Another one that I'm kind of thinking about, and this might not be so bad in Bloodpod. There's some versions, and I was looking at some of these last night because it's just like kind of intriguing. Sacrifice a creature, bring 2 back, so you can get Cauldron Familiar and Samwise.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Go off.
Yep.
Kind of cool. Kind of cool. If you can kind of like do the entomb. I think they're kind of going off of this in Blood Pod right now.
Sure.
There's, oh man, we'll talk about Blood Pod later.
Yeah, no.
I'm super excited.
Yeah,
so next one, Deadly Dispute, 1 in a black. As an additional cost to this, to cast a spell, sacrifice a creature, draw 2 cards, and create a treasure. This one is phenomenal.
This one's probably my favorite of the sacrifice get an effect kind of cards. There's a couple reasons why.
Yeah.
So number one, you can sacrifice an artifact or a creature.
Okay.
So if you're not loaded up on creatures in that moment, maybe someone just board wiped, right, or something.
The One Ring.
Which who cares?
The One Ring is going to kill you. Cool, sacrifice it.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Or again, you're in black. Who cares if your creatures died? Wow, another thing that black can do really well.
Aristocrats.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
But I think it's the fact that you can sacrifice an artifact or a creature. You get one of that mana that you spent for it back. So really, this spell is only 1 mana.
Okay.
If it resolves.
If it resolves.
And then you get 2 cards on top of that. So
Yes.
you're spending one. Essentially, if it resolves, you're spending 1 mana for 2 cards, and a mana of any color.
Okay.
Which, that's awesome.
It's instant speed, which is a
Yes.
lot better than like the Victimize. If Victimize was instant speed, it'd be pretty decent.
Oh yeah, I would play Victimize if it was instant.
Cool. You're going to Swords to Plowshare my creature. Just kidding. I'm going to kill my creature and bring back 2 more.
Yeah, that would be sick.
So, Deadly Dispute. Fantastic. Sees play in Pauper as well. Like we were saying, if someone's going to exile one of your creatures, you can actually protect it.
Yeah.
And cool. You just spent your 1 spell. I spent my 1 spell. I got now 2 cards. So really, who's up?
Yeah, not only did I replace the card that I just used, I got an additional card, and I spent, again, if it resolves, because technically you get that mana back, you spent 1 on your swords, I spent 1, quote unquote, on my Deadly Dispute. You're down a card, I'm up a card.
And I can reanimate
And
it.
I can get my creature back now.
Perfect. It's fantastic. We don't see it in CDH. EDH, it makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely.
Because, cool, how many people are really playing, like, Graveyard Hate in EDH?
Probably not enough.
I don't...
I don't even think Graveyard Hate came up in, like, colorless or anything, actually.
Okay.
So that's actually something that maybe look into a little bit more for the EDH players, is because graveyards are such a fun strategy.
It's an extra hand.
Yeah, both in EDH and CEDH. Like, graveyards are so much fun.
Village Rites is similar, right? You don't get a treasure.
Sure.
You don't get a treasure. As additional cost, cast a spell, sacrifice a creature. So not a creature or an artifact, just a creature, right? Cool. Draw 2 cards.
It's Deadly Dispute, right? It's basically Deadly Dispute because, sure, you're not getting a treasure, but you also spent 1 less mana on it.
Sure. So
So
if they counter it for CDH, that would be kind of bad because you definitely do have that mental misstep. So Village Rites sees play 10% in EDH. So the very bottom of the bracket, it doesn't see a significant amount of play, but enough to meet our requirements of 10% for all of this. Village Rites.
So next up on our little list here, because we weren't really sure how to classify that last segment. It's like kill things to get things segment.
Kill things to get things.
This is the best I got.
I mean, yeah, that sounds like Thanksgiving.
Yeah, exactly.
Kill things to get things.
Exactly. This is a good one. Everything's fine.
Sounds good. Okay.
So, next up on our list, we have removal.
Okay.
So removal in black, I think overall, black is very good at removing creatures.
Yes.
Very, very good at removing creatures. Other things,
Enchantments, not so much. Green and white kind of do better job
yes.
at that corrosive grip and things of that
yeah,
nature.
I think green and white in general are the best at removing anything. Red, maybe slightly
Bolt
behind
the bird.
that. And then blue it doesn't really remove things. It just gets rid of them temporarily by like
Pongify is
Yeah,
like your best removal
yeah.
spell. Resculpt, exile target artifact or
Factor
creature for 1 in a blue. It's all right.
right. But typically blue is like, oh, I'll get rid of it for a little bit just
Bounce,
so I can
stun, sure.
But black is definitely the best when it comes to getting rid of just creatures for some wipes. But the first one that we're going to talk about is actually a wipe, and it's Toxic Deluge. So Toxic Deluge is a sorcery for 2 and a black. As an additional cost to cast Toxic Deluge, you have to pay a certain amount of life.
Okay.
But then the amount of life that you paid, all creatures on the board get -X, -X, where X is the life you paid into it.
Yeah, okay.
So why is Toxic Deluge such a good wipe? your heroic intervention that you just cast after you watched our green episode now doesn't do anything.
Nope. Gets around indestructible, which is phenomenal. About the only thing that you can really do is phase it out with white, with like Teferi's protection.
Or bounce it with blue, right? You bounce the creature you really want back to your hand.
Sure.
So there are ways to get around it, but it's tough if you don't have it in hand, right? Sure. It's tough if you don't have the counterspell to either stop the Toxic Deluge, or if you don't have some kind of way to. I think March is another one in blue that you can phase out your stuff, but I think it's only creatures.
March of Swirling Mist?
Which I guess makes sense.
Yeah. March of Swirling Mist. Yeah, we'll phase them out. So really, the only way to get around this is to phase them out.
To phase or bounce.
Or give everything Undying.
Yeah,
or regenerate
that
everything. I know with like your iconic Damnation, right? It's 2 and black, which is considerably a lot of mana when you really think about turn 4, and that's where like Toxic Deluge kind of takes that into a better and quicker thing. Cool, people play out a bunch of their stuff. Cool, turn 3, I'm playing this, and I'm paying 5 life and killing everything, and then
if that,
cool, rebuild.
Yeah, exactly, especially because you're in black. You don't care that your stuff dies.
No.
You can get it back. You can recur it. You can find loops with it, right? So really, it doesn't mean much. Also, black is weirdly good at gaining life as well, with a lot of like extort style effects. I think black and white are definitely head above heels as far as gaining life above the other colors. So it can also rebuild that as well if it needs to.
Okay.
So Toxic Deluge sees about 17% of play. Totally get why people play Toxic Deluge. Very good board wipe that gets around a lot of different things.
Absolutely.
So next up on the list is Deadly Rollick.
Great card.
Deadly Rollick is, I think, the only one of the commander cycles that's actually 1 more mana than the others. It's 3 and a black.
3 and a black.
For an instant.
Ad nauseam, it's going to hurt.
Yeah. But if you can control your commander, you can cast it for free, and you exile a target creature.
Yes.
So, again, very good at getting rid of something. It doesn't destroy the creature. It exiles it.
Cool. Indestructible. But the only real way to stop this is cool. We're going to counter it. We're going to give it hexproof, shroud, or phase it out. So free spells are phenomenal.
Absolutely.
Especially this one. If you don't really care, if you're not really running an ad nauseam kind of effect, cool. Play this because it's free with your commander spell.
Yeah, you might as well. It's totally free. And obviously in EDH and even in CEDH, when people don't think something's there, they don't think something's coming, they're like, perfect, he's tapped out, I will simply go for my win with my Kiki Jiki. And you're like, cool, in response to the tap, I'm going to Deadly Rollick your Kiki Jiki.
And that's that.
And you're like, well, I hope you have a backup Kiki Jiki. Oh, wait, you don't. I'm sure there probably is. But
there are. The Balloon Man, have you seen that card?
Oh, that's right, the Balloon Man.
Oh.
We're in the colors.
Oh, it's
Jolly Balloon Man.
Yes, it is great.
So, but again, the fact that it exiles rather than destroys it is just awesome. And if you cast it for free, because it's just that good.
Sure, absolutely.
So,
Feed the Swarm. Very last one for removal. Sees play about 18%, so quite a bit, honestly, for EDH.
Yeah.
This one hits a creature or an enchantment, and you lose life equal to the CMC of whatever that is. So you were saying earlier, Smothering Tithe. Cool. Lose 4 life. Right now, Smothering Tithe feels unstoppable.
Yes.
If you get that thing down, they're going to have so much more mana in comparison because we've gotten rid of a lot of the fast mana. So cool, play at turn 4. If it resolves, good God.
Yeah, no, it's incredibly difficult to deal just in general on the CEDH side for those that are listening from EDH to CEDH. Enchantments are difficult to get rid of.
Yes.
Like, completely get rid of, right? We can bounce them with blue effects. Right?
Sure.
To get rid of them for a turn or whatever.
Toxic Deluge doesn't take care of them.
Toxic doesn't do anything.
Deadly Rollick doesn't do anything.
A lot of your phase effects only hit creatures. They don't really hit enchantments for the most part.
Bounce everything back to their hand, I guess. But that's going to be like 6 mana.
So enchantments usually stick pretty well.
Yes.
And I'm not going to lie, on the CEDH side of things, we don't really run Feed the Swarm.
No.
But we don't really run anything to remove enchantments.
And there's sorcery speed is Feed the Swarm.
Right, which makes it difficult because you can't answer it before you draw a card with Feed the Swarm, which is why I wanted to give a real quick shout out to Withering Torment, I believe was the card that we came up to. So Withering Torment is 2 and a black. You destroy a target creature or enchantment, just like Feed the Swarm. You pay 1 extra mana into it, but then you only lose 2 life. You're not losing more,
Yes.
and it's at instant speed, which is the main point.
Huh.
So instead of drawing that card from a Smothering Tithe before, like on your upkeep, before you draw your card, Withering Torment their Smothering Tithe away.
I like this. So this is similar to like the other cycles that we've seen. In white, it was Generous Gift.
Yeah.
In red, it was Chaos Vorp.
Yep.
In green, it was Beast Within.
Mm-hmm.
In black, I don't know there's another 3 that hits
You don't
multiple
really have
things.
Yeah, you don't really have a catch-all effect.
This
in
might be
black.
the first one, and I think this is a really good honorable mention for sure. $4 in foil currently. Go for it. $1.52 in regular. Okay, so it's definitely seen a lot of value to it currently as the newest set that's come out. But I think this is probably the cycle that you would compare into all the other colors. Like, cool, this hits multiple things, and it does what black does best. And it does something that black doesn't do well, that hits enchantments.
100%.
Definitely needed. Cool, 3 mana, instant speed, destroy a creature.
But I do understand why people run Feed the Swarm.
Okay.
And I can understand why they run this, because if you are in mono black, which is, just real quick, which is by far probably the easiest color to win by itself in. Obviously, there's Magda, right? And Magda can win very easily if it can get the setup properly.
Yeah. Well, it's mostly artifacts, yeah.
But I think being able to not only win through like creature combo, but also there are ways to win through spell combo.
Sure.
There's just so many there. We'll talk about them here in a minute, but like Aristocrat style strategies.
Yes.
Black is very, very good at winning the game and just finishing things. And so the problem with black is there are certain enchantments that can just stop black in its tracks because it cares about its graveyard, right? It cares about ritualing. It cares about getting
so like Rest in Peace,
right? So something like Rest in Peace comes into play. If you care about your graveyard a lot, what do? If you don't have a Withering Torment or a Feed the Swarm, you're done.
Sure,
you're just kind of out of it. Your Entomb is dead. Your Buried Alive is dead. You just can't do anything anymore.
Okay.
And so
definitely
I think having these pieces is incredibly important when you're in low color and you feel as though there are enchantments that are going to stop you. Like if people tool against you and play a Leyline of the Void, for instance.
Sure.
These are ways to get rid of them, and now we have more options than we used to.
I would definitely run 2 of these in like EDH. I would run. I'd run both of these.
And this just came out, so if you don't know about it and you're just hearing about it for the first time, and you play EDH, there you go.
Put it in your deck, see how it goes. Let us know.
Because I think it's really good to have.
Okay.
So
I appreciate that. Okay. Yeah. Out of the removal spells, pretty much the highest one.
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy enough.
So for blue, we had our Ristic Studies, our fishes, our ways to draw cards. How does black draw cards? Because cool, we can go look for the perfect card. We can ramp into the perfect card. We can kill stuff. But how do we actually get our engines going? So there's a couple different engine cards. We have 3. We have Sign in Blood at 10%, Black Market Connection at 10%, and then Phyrexian Arena at 15%.
So Phyrexian Arena is 1 black, and it's just an enchantment that says at the beginning of your upkeep, you draw a card and lose a life.
Okay.
And this is a trend that you're going to notice with black. Black is very good. Would you say black is probably second best at drawing cards?
I would say it's probably second best, and that's one reason why blue-black is just so prominent.
Yes.
You can draw a bunch of cards a couple different ways. I mean, you have Ad Naus, you have Peer into the Abyss, a couple different spells that
cards we'll talk about here in a little bit.
That go absolutely nuts. I mean, Phyrexian Arena for someone in EDH, I mean, it's like $3 to $5.
Yeah, very cheap.
Not too bad. The only problem with it is that you don't get to draw until your next turn.
So on the CEDH side of things, this is a little too slow because there's a chance you don't get to your next turn.
Correct.
There's always that chance. There's always something in the back of your mind that you have to tell yourself, there's a chance I don't get to my next turn. So this card has to do something right now on my turn a lot of the time.
Yes.
There are exceptions to that,
sure,
but usually they either excel you or they put you in a dominating position. But
like Smothering Tithe, where it keeps getting you. Cool, you're gonna pay it. You're gonna pay it. You're gonna pay it.
Right.
It's gonna tax them. A lot of the different enchantments are going to tax the other person. You don't pay, then he gets to draw a bunch of cards, and if it gets back to his turn, he's winning the game. We can't do that. Whereas like Phyrexian Arena it has nothing to do with the opponent. It has everything to do with you. Cool. Do I get to the next turn? Cool. I do. Cool.
Sweet. I get 1 card for 3 black, or 1 and 2 black, but still.
Yes.
And so, but the main trend that you'll notice with black is it punishes itself, quote unquote,
Yeah.
for drawing cards.
Sure.
Typically, most black. I mean, you noticed it with Vampiric Tutor, right?
Yeah.
All the other tutors we went over, Worldly, Enlightened Tutor, Gamble, none of those lost you life.
Okay.
Vampiric Tutor will lose you 2 life.
Sure.
Right? So, and we talked about Grim Tutor. Grim Tutor loses you 3
3
life.
life.
So you'll notice a trend with black that it pains itself to draw and do things, but that's what it's good at doing.
And I think that's why it's good in EDH and CDH is because you start with 40. A lot of these cards were made for 60 card format, and they're like, okay, well, you have 20 life, and it's 1v1, and how long are you really going to be able to do this back and forth, back and forth? So that's why like CDH black just does really well. Yeah.
So
the next one that's very similar to Phyrexian Arena is Black Market Connection. This one used to be kind of expensive. It's about $10 now, but it's 2 and a black opposed to 1 and a black. A little bit easier to play. It's an enchantment, and it's modal. So at the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, choose 1 or more. So you can differentiate between the ones.
Depending on how much you have to do. So
cool. You can create a treasure and lose 1 life. Okay. Draw a card and lose 2 life. Nah.
It's okay.
Okay.
If you need a card, you need a card.
Okay. Create a 3/4 colorless shape-shifting creature token with changeling. You lose 3 life. So it's 1, 2, and 3 life lost depending on what you need. Cool. 3/2 changeling.
Okay. Do I want to draw again? Do I need just mana this turn? Maybe I just need mana this turn. I'll just pay 1 life. I'll make 1 treasure. I'm good with that.
I want to get more zombies. Cool. I have 18 zombies, and I need a 19th zombie to then be able to reduce everything, to then blow up everything.
To just nuke everyone's board and get all my stuff back from my graveyard. Cool. I'll pay 3 life and I'll do it. So you know what? Screw all that. I want every single effect. Knock me down 6 life. I'm taking a card. I'm getting a treasure, and I'm getting my changeling. Much like Phyrexian Arena, you have to wait until your next turn when it comes to the CEDH side of things. The other reason why in Black Market Connections it feels a little rough, and this is something that I think is a quick thing to kind of stop, and maybe we'll talk about it when we get to the CEDH side of things as well. But if you're coming from EDH to CEDH, there is a notion in CEDH where when you are playing black, you are going to be attacked. Now, there's reasons for this. If you've noticed that we've talked about it, and obviously we'll talk about Sign and Blood as well here in a second, but all these effects lose you life, right?
So I can't pay anything.
So if I continue to knock you down and knock you down and knock you down with Phyrexian Arena, and even this one, you don't have a choice. Notice that on Black Market Connections, it says choose 1 or more.
So you could lose 1 life.
So you can lose 1, but you have to choose 1.
Okay.
And I think that people just need to understand that in EDH, that are moving to CEDH, try not to take offense when people attack you in black. It's just the fact that black uses its life very well, to be honest. But they feel like and again, we'll talk about a really powerful card in the CEDH side of things that really justifies that attack.
Absolutely.
A lot of the time. And sometimes you have to say, hey, I don't have this card in my deck. Please don't attack me.
Attack me if you want, but this other person definitely does.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
use it against them.
Well, we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
But because you use your life in ways like this, even in CEDH, people are going to attack you just to try to keep your life total down so you can't abuse these effects.
So you don't have as many options.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, perfect.
So again, don't try to take offense when people attack you in black. It's just kind of a notion that we're like, well, he's in black. He uses his life. I'm going to swing at you because optimal play is what we want in CEDH.
Sure.
And so if you're in black and everyone else at the table is not, probably chances are I'm swinging at you.
Sure.
Right?
Same thing if you're playing like Sylvan Library.
Sure. Yep.
I'm going to attack
Library
you.
is another great.
The One Ring after the initial turn. Cool. I'm going to attack you.
Cool.
Because
because if your One Ring keeps ticking up, you're going to keep drawing cards. So I'm going to smack the crap out of you until your One Ring kills you, or pray that it does.
Sure.
So just as a clarification piece.
Okay.
But yeah, so Black Market Connections is another great piece. And then the last one was Sign and Blood.
Okay.
So Sign and Blood's super simple. Black. Draw 2 cards, lose 2 life. That's all it does.
Hard to beat.
Now, mind you, it says target player, so you can Born Upon a Wind and make someone draw off their Thassa's
Man, if it was instant speed.
Yes, if it was instant, it would
instant
be awesome.
speed. This would be great. Cool. Someone's going for Thassa's win condition. Target player draws 2 cards, and I lose 2 life.
Right. But I think in EDH, this is a really fun card.
Yeah.
Because you could use it kind of as a politicking tool, right? Say you have a full grip, and you're like, Man, you got a board wipe in there? We could really
Ooh.
use a board wipe. Here, I'm gonna target you. I'll lose the 2 life. It's fine. I'll gain my life back. It's okay. You go ahead and draw 2 cards, and then see if you can find a board wipe. Oh, blasphemous act. Oh man, what a shame. Reanimate all my creatures. You know what I mean?
Sure,
Like
sure.
there's ways you can kind of use it. It's
Okay,
it's fun.
okay.
I do like
That's
Sign
fun.
in Blood.
That's fun.
And in a crick deck, this is pay 6 life, draw 2 cards. Not the best thing, but some players love it.
Okay, I mean,
I'm not big on it in my crick list, but hey,
there's some decks that can play this.
Sure.
There's some decks that can play this. Definitely in EDH for sure. It
Yeah,
only seems about
absolutely.
10%, so it's very bottom of the barrel for your different draw kind of effects. It seems like Black really in EDH really wants things that consistently give it to you over and over again.
Yeah.
Same as like Ristic Study and Fish. Cool. I want this thing to sit here and go and do its thing
And
over and over.
constantly draw my cards. Yep, perfect.
Okay. So the very next one, there's only one of these effects, but I think that all of these effects are insane. But the names say one. Reanimate. 1 black, return target creature from your graveyard, from a graveyard,
A graveyard.
to your battlefield, lose life equal to its CMC. It's a sorcery. Okay, not bad. But this is like what Black does the best.
Oh yeah, easily. Black does this better than any other color. I think it's the only. It's it's just so good at doing this. And the fact that there's like multiple effects in EDH, obviously, Reanimate sees 15% of play, but we'll talk about it on the CEDH side of things. But there are multiple effects that do something very similar to
Sure.
this. And then obviously people know about like Rise of the Dark Realms, for instance, which is like 7 black and return all creatures from
Okay.
graveyards all onto your battlefield,
Sure.
which is a nightmare to resolve, but it's fun. Reanimate is just so simple. It's so cheap. It doesn't need to hit a thing in your graveyard.
Anyone's graveyard.
So if someone is like, I'm gonna Bajuka Bog your graveyard, you're like, that's a sweet looking, there's a sweet looking dragon you got over there. I'm gonna go ahead and reanimate that thing for now because you nuked my graveyard. That's fine. I'll just use yours.
Okay.
So I think that's the other thing that Reanimate or like Black just is really good at.
Cool.
And-
So you would Toxic Deluge the entire board
Yep.
and say, which one do I want?
Yeah, which one's mine now?
Which one is mine? I like that dragon. I like that dragon. We'll pick that one dragon.
Yeah, I'm gonna take that one. Thanks for that.
Yep. Yeah. Taking someone else's card always feels so bad. I know that you play like Paco and Holden, and like
Yes.
when you take someone else's cards, they're like, I wanted to play with that.
Yep. One of my favorite instances of Paco and Holden. Were you in that game? I don't know if you were in that. No, it was.
Never been in that game. I just
No,
know people hate you
it was-
when you play that deck.
It was Jasper and someone else. I can't remember. But I was able to swing with Paco, and I got 2 mana crypts off of it when it was not banned. But I hit the top mana crypt, and I was like, cool, I'm gonna cast them both.
Good luck losing 6 life.
Oh yeah,
next
no,
turn.
I almost died to those things so
Okay.
bad. Oh yeah, it was not a good idea, but I did it anyway because screw it, it's fun. Anyway,
Why not?
So again, Black is good at this stuff. Black knows what it wants to do, and Reanimate's just so good.
Where does this term even come from? So our next category is aristocrats. Where does aristocrats come from?
I know what the strategy is. So the name comes from the winning deck list at the Pro Tour Gatecrash, which used small human creatures in combination with Cartel Aristocrat
Okay.
and Falconwrath Aristocrat. And now everyone knows it as the Aristocrat strategy. But anyway, very prominent win condition. So go for it.
So we have Blood Artist at 12%, Zulaport Cutthroat, which I loved, at 10% seen played, Vizier Seer, which is like an enabler of these two, 10%, and then Bolus's Citadel. Bolus's Citadel doesn't necessarily fit in the aristocrat kind of scenario, but it is part of like the win con package of mono black if you had to run with it.
Yep.
So Blood Artist and Zulaport Cutthroat are essentially the same thing. One gets around protection, one doesn't get around protection, one deals 1 damage, and one says everyone loses a life. One's a 0/1, one's a 1/1. I actually played this in Modern, depending on what you had and what you wanted.
Sure.
They were about the same thing, except for one said, "Cool, get around the 1 ring."
Perfect. Yep. Yeah, that's what you want.
I think it was Zulaport Cutthroat that got around the 1 ring.
Yes, because I believe Blood Artist targets.
Yeah, loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So when it first came out, I'm like, cool, I'm playing this in Yawgmoth, green black Yawgmoth. all day. It's a 1/1, one in a black, and then Blood Artist is a 0/1, one in a black. It's like cool. At least I can attack for a 1. Like I don't understand like whenever another creature dies. So the real difference between Blood Artist and why you would play it is because if a creature on someone else's board dies,
You also get the effect.
yes. Whereas Zulaport Cutthroat just gets around protection.
Yeah, because it specifically says when you control dies with
So-
Zulaport Cutthroat.
So then Vizier Seer.
Yep.
Which is 10% seen play. And this is kind of like the enabler. You sacrifice it and you have an effect. Some of these different effects were like, cool, give a +1/+1 to a thing. This Vizier Seer says, cool, scry 1.
Yep.
So you can basically just look through your entire deck until you get the very top 1 and then draw your 1 card with Searing Sign in Blood.
With Sign in Blood.
With Sign in Blood, cool, then play your win con. Great. The very last one, and probably one of the best win conditions in mono black is going to be Bolus of Citadel. It's 3 black.
3 black.
3 and 3 pips. So it's quite expensive.
Yes.
Sometimes can be very difficult to play. Anytime that you're playing 3 pips outside of like 2 colors, like good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck.
100%.
Some people will cheat this in with some different goblin effects. Be able to return it. So a black-red, once again, pretty good. I know that Rockside is looking into it. They're looking into a lot of things these days.
Oh, yeah.
But Bolus of Citadel is essentially, look at the top card, you can play the CMC.
Yep.
You'll lose that life for whatever the CMC is, and you play it into the battlefield for
Look,
that life.
black using its life again. Crazy thought.
Fantastic. The other one is you have 10 permanents.
Yes, so you have, if you sacrifice 10 non-land permanents, I don't think you have to sacrifice Bolas of Citadel, but you tap it, you sacrifice 10 non-land permanents. One of them can be Bolas of Citadel if you
Sure.
need it to be. And then each opponent loses 10 life.
Okay. So, I mean, if you were able to get them low enough with like an Aristocrat style, like, cool, I don't have a way to go infinite, but I have enough way to get everyone down to 10 life. Cool. Sacrifice 10 of my, I don't know, zombies.
So this used to actually be an interesting, again, fun little stupid thing that I used to
Go for
do.
it.
There was actually a weird combo in Dahada that people were trying, where essentially what you would do is you would make like infinite treasure, and then instead of after Underworld Breaching, you would actually just like flicker your Bolas of Citadel, tap, sacrifice the treasure, each opponent loses 10 life. And then you'd escape the flicker the Bolas of Citadel again,
Everyone
tap, sack the treasures, and everyone will lose 10 life. It was a weird combo, but it was kind of interesting.
That's pretty much
That's it.
that's what we have for EDH.
There's a lot of effects that we probably could have talked about, a lot more cards that probably see a ton of more play.
Sure.
Again, this is the number 1 color that gets played in EDH, right?
Yeah. What's the percentage? I mean, we'll not save it for the end. We'll save it. We'll save it for right now because
Yeah,
I
we'll
mean,
just do it.
we've already gone through blue, multicolor blue, show notes. We'll start from the bottom. Okay.
Sure.
Green, 70%. Okay. White, 18.56%. Okay. Red, 20.64%.
The most even color of them all.
Absolutely love red. 21.47% for blue, and then black, 22.26% of play. It sees almost as much as green doesn't see play in EDH. Once again, these are the statistics that we pulled from the top 20 decks off EDH Rec. We pulled about 27% of them, about 1.2 million decks, and said, cool, this is a good sample size. Black sees a lot of play.
Yes.
Blue-black in particular sees a lot of play. And it's because of these different ways to kill things.
Yeah, 100%.
Kill things. It has great win conditions if it's mono-black, as well as realistically, I think it's the Tutors. I think it is the color of consistency. It's
Absolutely.
consistently blowing everything up. It's consistently tutoring, or it's consistently winning.
Right. And when you pair black that has, for instance, like Village Rites effects and Sign in Blood, and it's secondary in card draw to blue.
Yes.
For a lot of these effects.
Sure.
So when you're taking 2 colors, one that can protect you and draw a ton of cards, and the second one that has amazing win conditions and also draws you a ton of cards and also has explosivity in it.
Sure.
It is so hard to deal with. So it just has these pieces that just interlock so smoothly, I think. So anyway, we went into the statistics a little bit early on this portion, but we just wanted to let people know that like the black is the most played color. And so obviously it has a power to it that it really helps out the rest of the decks.
Yes.
Which is crazy because I honestly thought it was going to be blue. I don't know what your takeaway. I thought it was going to be blue, but
I was definitely think it was going to be blue and black was black.
Well,
second.
I guess green way back before we even started looking into this.
I thought it was going to be like fourth.
So
I thought red was going to be seen the least amount of play.
It's just crazy to see this stuff. It's awesome. I love learning that I'm wrong, which I legitimately do like learning and finding out
Sure.
that I am incorrect about these notions that I had. So it's really, really cool. So okay, so now, as it is time in every episode, it is time to move over to CEDH and what Black is providing and how it's providing in our format.
So number 1 and number 2 are the exact same in EDH and CEDH. We've already gone over them. Demonic Tutor is going to be your number 1. Same thing as EDH.
Yep.
Cool. Go get your thing. 2 mana to hand. Win the game, potentially, or get a counter spell, get a land, what do you got to do?
Go get the second piece to your win con.
Second one is going to be Vampiric Tutor. Same as before. Lose 2 life, instant speed, put it on top, draw it in your next upkeep, draw it in your next opt, draw it in your next brainstorm. There you go.
Anything you want, don't reveal it.
Okay. The next one is kind of cool. It's kind of cool. And I think with Dockside not being around, Wishclaw Talisman definitely sees a lot of play as is at about 67% of CDH and about 5% of EDH. It is Wishclaw Talisman. 1 in a black. It's an artifact. It comes down, and you need to pay 1 on your turn. Not sorcery speed. I actually had this come up in a game yesterday. He's like, oh, I could have cracked that to go get a counterspell to make sure that my other tutor goes off. I'm like, but you didn't remember it. It is on your turn. Everyone's like, sorcery speed. No. It has to be on your turn.
It is instant speed, but it is on your turn.
Yes, it could be upkeep. It could be...
end step.
But
it's all instant speed on your turn, but as soon as you pass it, you can't activate it anymore.
But people always, and that's the thing, reading the card explains the card.
Yep.
And sometimes even I'm like, oh, that's how that works. It's because sometimes we shortcut a lot of different things in our head. Like, cool, this is sorcery speed. No, it's not sorcery speed. It's on your turn.
Yes.
So Wishclaw Talisman, you have to remember that it's essentially a Grim Tutor.
Right.
That you do not lose life for, and then you give that Grim Tutor to someone else, and instead of them paying 2, now they just pay 1 colorless.
Right. Which I do wonder sometimes why so many people have swapped over to Wishclaw Talisman rather than just playing Grim Tutor. I understand you lose 3 life, but you are paying 3 mana to tutor a card. And with Wishclaw now, here's the thing. I think this is a little bit of a tangent. You know, we'll see how much we leave in.
Okay.
But I think the reason that people were running Wishclaw before was because you could Wishclaw, give the Wishclaw away, your tutor got you Dockside, and then your treasure count went up because they had Wishclaw.
Sure.
I think that Grim Tutor should come back in place of Wishclaw now, or run them both.
I don't know.
Because you are paying 3 mana for a tutor. Sure, it's a little intensive because it's 1 black,
yes,
rather than 2 colorless and a black, right?
Okay.
But then you're not giving a tutor to someone else. Do you see what I'm saying?
So
it's interesting.
Grim Tutor gets countered by what?
I mean, that's fair, right?
Okay.
Your miscasts, your spell pierces, your
Fluster Storms.
Right.
How many things hit artifacts?
Again, spell pierce, but not Fierce Guardianship.
Sure. But it's going to hit either one either way.
Right. Force of Negation.
Okay, but there's less things that hit artifacts.
Right, and that's understandable.
It's one reason why, like, Burgi is a great spell. Cool. It's not an ad nause, but it's pretty dang close. You play it on the backside for the Felnhorn or a Farnhelm or whatever it is.
Hornfell.
Yep. So it's an artifact. The other reason why I could see this being played is, okay, I'm going to play this. I'm going to show you what I got. It's going to be interaction. I'm going to give this to you. You need to get interaction for this individual. So it's a Grim Tutor that's more easily resolved. Okay. It's you can use it as a politic tool. Yes, with Dockside for sure. For sure. Cool. 1 more treasure. I get that. So basically it's 2 mana. It's another Demonic Tutor plus. Cool. Go get Dockside. Now we're doing our thing.
Right. Which obviously we can't get him anymore. So that's why I feel like it's down. But yeah, continue.
It's not bad. You know what'd be a really interesting one? Wishclaw Talisman plus that goblin that says whenever they tap it, you get control of it until your next end step.
Treasure Nabber.
Treasure Nabber with Wishclaw Talisman
might be interesting.
Would be funny. Hey, I'm gonna get that back.
Right.
If you tap that, I'm gonna get that back.
Yeah. Yep. That's.
I kind of like.
Interesting.
I like
concept.
it. I
So-
I like it.
Wish Claw Talisman, it's just another tutor. So again, it just helps with that consistency.
Yes.
So that's why we like Wish Claw Talisman. And so if your guys aren't playing Wish Claw Talisman, maybe pick up a Wish Claw Talisman if you guys want more tutors. Next up on our list. Okay, so these are best to pair together. They're not in the exact same order, but these are best paired
They're
together.
pretty close together.
Yeah, they're close. They're only one off. So we have Tainted Pact and Demonic Consultation. So Tainted Pact is 1 and a black for an instant, and you exile the top card of your library. You essentially exile the top card of your library until
You want to stop.
Until you want to stop.
Yep.
But it does have a caveat on Tainted Pact where it says if you hit the same card, you have to stop.
Okay.
CDH decks are built in mind with Tainted Pact, if this is what they're running, that there are no cards that are named the same thing.
No 2 basic lands.
Exactly, right? So for instance, I've actually had this come up just for EDH players that don't know. Like for instance, an island and a snow-covered island are not the same. So for a Tainted Pact, it sees those as 2 separate cards.
Perfect.
So just something so people know. Demonic Consultation is a 1 black instant. You name a card, you exile the top 6 cards of your library, and then you continue to exile until you hit the card.
So what happens if you hit the card you named in the first 6?
You exile your library,
Okay.
and it's gone.
Okay.
So Demonic Consultation and Tainted Pact, the words that CDH players will use sometimes, you might hear this come up, is the Forbidden Tutor.
Okay.
Because this does get you a card that you want.
Yes.
Right? But there is a chance that you exile your entire library to get it. Right? Tainted Pact is definitely the easier one because you don't have to name anything.
And it sees a little bit more play. Sometimes
Yeah.
people will remove Demonic Consultation from the deck. I've seen it in a couple decks that I've been running recently. Like I like both of them.
I do too.
I like both of them. One has a cool, I'm winning the game this turn. The other one has a I need to go find something. So having both of them as like a tutor-ish effect, like
Right.
cool, I don't need that land, 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 I need
Also-
this counter.
So the main reason that we run these is for Thassa's Oracle.
Yes.
So Thassa's Oracle, the ETB goes on the stack to win the game based on your devotion, and then these exile your library in order to have the Thassa's Oracle trigger go off, and you win the game.
Cool. You could name Emrakul the Aeon's Torn. You could
Right. You
famous, You Are Already Dead is a card. Love naming that one.
Yes, yeah. Or you could be in a mono black deck and be like, oh, deflecting SWAT because you're not in red.
It better not be in there.
Right. Both of these pieces are mainly used for that. They're mainly used for Thassa's Oracle combo. These cards are good enough that they see play in other black decks that actually aren't on blue. The card that's actually run right in between those two is one we've talked about. It's Dark Ritual. So we kind of discussed Dark Ritual. Quick, easy mana. We love it too. So
See about 60% of play.
Yep.
All 3 of those see about roughly
roughly 60.
percent. The next one we kind of talked about, the Imp Seal. It's essentially a vampiric tutor at sorcery speed.
Easy enough. 1 black. You put anything that you want. You don't have to reveal it. Put it on top of your library. This is used a lot better if you're running a Timna style deck where you can kind of draw it immediately, because there are people that will notice that and maybe they'll dash out a Ragavan and smack you and take your card.
I've definitely seen people in response to that, they've been able to brain freeze.
Yeah, brain freeze.
Cool, brain freeze it off the top so they don't win the game. The other one that you can do is people play wheels a lot in CDH.
Yeah.
Cool. Go get the thing, put it on top, wheel my hand. Cool. I have what I needed in the graveyard. I needed what I had to be able to get the thing back out of the graveyard and win the game with maybe 6 lands. Hopefully not 6 lands. Talking about wheels, one of the next ones on our list is going to be Orcish Bowmasters. This one was printed June of 23, relatively. So
Something like that.
This was whenever Lord of the Rings came out. Orcish Bowmasters, 1 and a black. It is a orc 1/1.
Orc Archer, I believe.
Orc Archer 1/1 that comes down and it says, cool, you can ping face, you can ping a creature for 1.
Yep.
And anytime that someone else draws,
Besides their first draw each turn.
do it again. And every time that you ping someone, if it resolves, if the ping actually goes through, you get a mass orc. So basically, you put a 1/1 on an orc if it's already been amassed. If not, you make another 1/1. Pretty phenomenal. So if you're able to wheel with Orcish Bowmasters out, cool. My other opponents draw 7 each. So that's 21 pings that I get to ping at destroy their entire
whatever you want.
their board if I really wanted to. If I want to do it their face, cool. Ping everything down. Now I have a 21, 21, 22, 22.
22, 22, because it enters and does it too.
So it's phenomenal.
Flash it out. I don't know if you said that it has flash.
Has flash.
So if someone else wheels and you're like, perfect, here's my Bowmaster.
We saw that at the Invitational.
Yeah.
That was insane. It was like a turn 1, turn 2 wheel, and the guy's like, cool, Bowmaster.
And that won the game for him.
Essentially won him the game.
He just he's like, I got a 20-something. You guys don't have no creatures. Boom, 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 boom.
What are you going to do? Swords of Plowshare it?
Right. You don't want to deal with it, but like, what are you supposed to do? You know what I mean? If you don't wheel into something to deal with it, then you're screwed.
Look not scary.
Exactly.
And hopefully you get to turn 3 or turn 4.
Yeah, so Orcish Bowmaster, I don't want to go on too much of a tangent about it, but Orcish Bowmaster definitely changed our format quite a bit. Because a lot of the time what happens with Orcish Bowmaster in our format is you take out the things that you can take out.
Sure.
Your Esper Sentinels, your Ragavans, Rograk, if you want to take out Rograk.
Your dorks. Which is what really hurt green for it.
Yeah.
And the worst part about Orcish Bowmasters is you don't ping the person that drew the card. You get to ping everyone else if you wanted to.
You ping whatever you want.
So someone over here is being irresponsible, not paying for Ristic, right? And this other person's drawn a bunch of cards, and you're like, cool, I'm going to ping this other guy over here. It's like...
You're like, I'm not doing anything. Like, he's the one drawing cards. Like, why are you killing all of my stuff? And he's like, well... because
scary.
I might as well, and you scare me.
Yeah, they're 1/1s. Why would I not take out incremental advantage? He's at 35 life. Me,
right,
getting down to 30 life doesn't really matter that much.
Right, but the thing is like we're kind of all also under this understanding that like that's what it does well. So like we kind of have to do it. It feels, you know what I mean? So
it's a good card. It's one reason why in CDH you want to be black. Like Orcish Bowmasters is insane. There's another couple different reasons for it, but like Orcish Bowmasters, it's hard to beat.
Yes.
You spend 2 mana, you get 2 power, and it can do more. People are going to be paying the 1. People are not going to be drawing because like, well, I have this, I'm at low life, I can't afford to draw. If they're going for like, cool, I'm playing a bunch of spells, like, cool, are you going to pay for all those Ristics? Cool, I'm going to ping you down.
You're like, I'm going to start like depleting your life total because it seems like you're trying to win here. So every time this guy's Ristic goes off, and it's attempting to win the game, I'm going to start hitting you until you can deal with my Bowmaster.
It's a real tax. Pay the 1 or lose life. If you're using life in mono black, you can't use mana and also use your life at the same time. So you got to choose. I'm going to hold off for a second. Otherwise, this 21-21 is now going to be, or 21-22 is now going to be a 50-50.
Yes.
Swinging in.
And it's just, what are you supposed to do? We don't run those kinds of creatures.
No.
Right. We don't run the things to stop that kind of effect.
It doesn't have trample, thank God. So you can't put, but most of the time it can just, cool, I'm just going
to keep chunking away at your creatures until you can't block me.
Cool. And now I'm swinging in. And that's that. So yeah, Orcish Bowmasters, some people want it to see banned. I'm okay with it. I think
I'd be okay with it, but I also understand its power. So
I like it. It's one reason why.
I mean, it's the reason why black is good. So
yep.
Okay. Next up on the list. So this actually falls into a category we talked about in EDH.
Okay.
Where you sack a creature and you get a thing.
Does it fit into another category as well?
Gosh, it's crazy. I think it does.
Okay.
It's Diabolic Intent.
Super good.
So Diabolic Intent is 1 in a black as an additional cost to cast Diabolic Intent. You have to sacrifice a creature and you tutor. It's a demonic tutor, but you have to sacrifice a creature for it.
Okay, so instead of drawing 2 cards and getting a treasure, now you get anything.
You get your demonic consultation for your Thassa's Oracle that's in hand.
Okay, perfect. I mean, yes. So you want a decent amount of creatures. You want more than like 10. I mean, like Rog size playing like 6
to 7 on average.
Yeah, probably not good enough.
No.
And that's why like Grim Tutor would see a little bit more play in this kind of situation. Cool. I don't need to sacrifice. I just lose life. Feels bad. But it's essentially a demonic tutor that you need to have a creature. Sorcery?
It is a sorcery, yes.
Yeah, okay. So similar to demonic tutor. So it's not necessarily like, cool, I'm going to sacrifice my creature in response and then go get my thing anyways. So fits into kind of both the categories. It sees about 50% play at the top tables.
Sure.
So and only about 9%. Only about 9% at EDH. So it's almost
just there.
It's almost there. Great card, relatively inexpensive for what it does. Hard to beat if you're playing. Green-black is perfect for this.
Yes, absolutely.
Green-black is perfect for this kind of effect. Our next card is one of the other reasons why you really would play black. Yes. And it is Ad Nauseam. It's 3 black. instant. Instant. And essentially what you do is when it resolves, you can reveal from the top of your library and you lose CMC from whatever that is. Similar to Bolus of Citadel. But the thing is, you put all those into your hand. You don't draw them, so it doesn't necessarily, go off of Orcish Bowmasters. It's not going to ping you for each card that you... But
you put it into your hand, so it doesn't count as a draw.
So you reveal, and you can stop revealing whenever you want to. Cool. I'm at 40 life. Cool. Reveal a 0-drop. Cool. 0 life.
Reveal a land. 0. Nothing. Reveal my Imp Seal. Okay, I'll take 1 damage.
Okay.
Reveal my Demonic Tutor. I'll take 2. I've taken 3, and I've put 4 cards in my hand.
Perfect. Reveals Bolus of Citadel. Lose 6 life.
That's okay.
Keep going.
Reveal my Dark Ritual. Oh, cool. So now it's starting to look like I can cast my Bolus of Citadel. Okay, cool. My Sensei's Divining Top. Oh, isn't that interesting? Oh, ad nauseum.
It's so good. So many times I just wait. I got my 5 mana. I let it go to this person on my left, and then into that person, There ends up cool. Ad naus, cool. Counter. I don't care. Untap. It's 5 mana, and it basically wins you the game.
Yeah.
With the bans, it feels a little bit worse because then you can't 0-drop of your mana crypt into a signet of some sort. So your 0-drops aren't necessarily as prominent, but you lost 1 0-drop that really matters. This still really wins the game. If nothing else, it cool. Ad naus, counter it, cool. Go untap Thassa's Oracle Demonic. Okay, cool. You used your interaction because you absolutely had to, because if not, cool, I'm drawing like 10 counter spells and we're just going off anyways. I love to be able to silence on someone's upkeep if they're before me.
Yep.
Cool, silence. Oh, I think he's going to win. Cool, I'm going to silence to make sure he doesn't do anything crazy, guys. Okay, cool.
Now I'll add naus in my end, on your end step, because now the silence is worn off. So
super good.
I'm going to go ahead and draw a bunch of cards.
Yes.
Draw a bunch of cards, quote unquote.
Yep.
So this is the main reason, and I talked about it in EDH side, but this is the main reason why you will be attacked in CEDH.
Yes.
Because the less life total you're at, the less cards you get to see when then ad nauseum resolves. So again, don't take offense when you are attacked in black, because they have to assume, because ad nauseum is so powerful, that you're probably on ad nauseum and that they should probably attack you.
Sure.
Obviously, this doesn't see a ton of play in EDH. It's only about 3%, because you really have to have a low mana curve for this to be worth it.
Sure.
Because if you're running a bunch of 6 and 8 drops, and this draws you what? 3, 4 cards until you're like, oh no.
A value naus. There's better options for this if you'd want to. The Necrodominance and Necropotence would be a better option, because you only lose 1 life, which is a good segue into Necropotence.
Sure.
This is a phenomenal card. It's similar to an ad naus, but a little bit different. And there's some different cards that you need to really make this thing hum.
Yes.
But Necrodominance and Necropotence are essentially the same thing. Necropotence sees about 42% play in CEDH, and what you do is cool. I'm going to pay a certain amount of life. Okay. So if I want to draw 20 cards, cards, I pay 20 life, and then on my end step, those go to my hand. Okay. For Necropotence, your hand size is 7. For Necrodominance, it gets reduced to 5.
Yes.
So obviously Necropotence is a little bit better. Necrodominance, you actually draw the cards.
Yeah, so a Bowmaster could ping you.
It feels really bad. So most of the time, Necropotence is
the one that we'll see play.
It's good enough. So it's 3 black. It's an enchantment, and it comes down. You pay the amount of life of how many cards you want to draw. Go to your end step. Cool. Look at your hand. What are you really looking for? You're looking for an extra turn. Extra turn spell at instant speed. There's only one. Adam, you know who you are. Okay. Warrior's Oath doesn't do it.
Try not to. Don't do that next time.
Final Fortune. You want Final Fortune in one of those, so you can take an extra turn. So you have your perfect 7. You go to your turn. You don't draw on.
Right. You don't draw with Necropotence in play.
You don't draw. So there's different. People will actually bounce it back to their hand. A couple different bounce spells that are heavily played in blue right now. Actually, there's some decks are playing 3 different bounce spells to be able to bounce that back. Cool. And what happens is when you discard, they go to exile instead. They go to the graveyard, but then they go to exile instead.
Right. So there's a trigger on the stack when you discard 2 Necropotence, whereas Necrodominance does not have that effect. Necrodominance just puts them into exile immediately.
Yes.
So that's another reason why it's important. But yeah, Necropotence, it can draw you just a couple if you just want to fill your hand, or it can 30 life, all 30 cards in hand. Can I win?
This other one, similar to Bowmasters, is one reason why I love creatures in black.
Yes.
The next one is Opposition Agent. This one has changed the game similar to the way that Bowmasters has changed the game. Cool. It is a 3/2
Yes.
human rogue,
Mhm.
2 and a black with flash,
Yep.
similar to Bowmasters. And it basically says, cool, when you play this card, if it's on the battlefield, if someone searches their library, they don't search the library. You search the library and you get to look at their hand. So cool. They play a fetch land. They go to crack it. Cool. Opposition agent. Cool. Now I get to go look at your deck. I get to go get a land. Everyone sees it underneath opposition agent. I can cast it. I can play it.
Yep.
I can play it for as long as I'm in this game,
Mm-hmm.
even if opposition agent is
Agent's
gone.
gone.
Cool. Perfect. Hitting the land isn't necessarily the best.
No.
The best thing is that you get to see their hand, so it's a taxiing probe.
Right.
Cool.
Specifically because opposition agent doesn't say you search their library for them. It specifically says you control that player as they search.
Okay.
So therefore, you're able to look at their hand.
Okay. Yes, you don't control them the entire game. So it's not like you can cool, I'm gonna make you cast a spell that go kill the
Right.
other
It's not
thing.
quite that.
It's only during the search, and until the search resolves, cool. Look at their hand, do what you got to do, take notes. Okay, they got this. They have a win in hand.
Okay, good. Thank God I cast this opposition agent because they were about to tutor into their win.
Yes, if they're going for any of these different tutors in black, in blue, in red, cool.
You do.
They gamble.
Yeah. yeah.
Oh my god! If they gamble and you play this, cool. You go get whatever card you want, any card, land, doesn't matter, and they still discard a card.
Yep.
At random.
So the thing to note with opposition agent, and Chris has done a pretty good job at explaining it, is that you do get what it was they were tutoring for. So
Yes.
for instance, if someone casts a worldly tutor and you respond with an opposition agent, you're still under the effect of the worldly tutor. You can only search their library for a creature.
Cool.
But in the case of like Gamble or Demonic Tutor that says search for any card, that's exactly what you do.
So you Vampire Tutor, do you put that on top of your library? How does that work?
So if you were to Vampiric Tutor and someone opposition agents your card, you just take it.
Yes.
You do
okay.
not put it on top of your library.
Okay, perfect.
Just
So,
people,
so no matter what,
it goes basically underneath opposition
so
agent.
worldly tutor, it doesn't go on top of your library and then you draw it for turn. No. It just everything goes underneath opposition agent. Opposition agent goes away. You can still play and cast those cards.
Correct.
So it's insanely good. Sees about 40% of play, 26 out of the 30 out of all the decks of the Invitational. Pretty insane card. I love it. Sometimes it's a flash blocker.
Yeah.
If I'm like really like this person cannot draw any more cards, otherwise we are just doing this thing. No one's fetching. We love to fetch. We have our fetch lands. We have all the different tutors that we have.
Yep.
But anytime that someone searches, which is how we are so consistent and why black is so good in CDH is because it looks and searches for exactly what it needs when it needs it. So opposition agent is best in black and best opposing black as well.
Yes.
Once again, it is a 3/2. It can die to a lot of different things. It can die to a shock. It can die to a lot of different effects. It's not a great blocker. It can block a Timna. It can block a 1/1. The next one on the list is similar to our opposition agent.
Yeah, this one's a little bit different though.
It's a sorcery speed, 1 black, Praetor's Grasp. You get to choose, target a player, and you can go grab one of the things out of their library. The thing with this is Praetor's Grasp, you don't show what you grabbed.
Nope.
You could have grabbed a Thassa's Oracle. You could have grabbed a counterspell. Doesn't really matter. Until someone is able to fetch and look at their library or search themselves later on, like, what am I missing?
You're like, why is my Thassa's Oracle
Of course. Okay, sure. Praetor's Grasp, I definitely like to grab, instead of Thassa's Oracle, I'll normally try to grab, like, Underworld Breach.
Sure.
But
you grab whatever you want. Oh, and also, as a another little side note, I don't know how many side notes we're going to have, but
quite a few, I guess.
If there is an opposition agent on the battlefield and you Praetor's Grasp an opponent, opposition agent does not take effect.
Okay.
Because specifically for opposition agent is an opponent needs to search their library.
Okay.
I am searching an opponent's library for something, so opposition agent does not take effect.
Nice.
For those that are curious
Okay.
about that effect. And the other difference between Praetor's Grasp and opposition agent is opposition agent fixes your colors for you.
Okay.
Praetor's Grasp does not.
Okay.
So you need to find a way to like make the color if you don't have the color already. But
Okay.
there's a lot of treasures in our format, regardless of
Absolutely.
certain pieces getting gone. So this is why this card specifically is the reason why people that are not in blue still run Tainted Pact and Demonic Consultation.
Okay.
Because I can Praetor's Grasp your Thassa's Oracle away, crack 2 treasures for blue, cast your Thassa's Oracle, and use my Tainted Pact. Usually it's only Tainted Pact in non-blue decks that we run.
Sure.
Just because it's kind of
A search.
It's less painful
Okay.
to exiles to find something that you need. But this is the main reason why those decks will still sometimes run Tainted Pact.
Okay. Yeah, Praetor's Grasp definitely for me, I feel like it's one of those things like you need an additional win con. You might not have it in your deck. They might have exiled your entire library. Cool. I'm going to go look for your Thassa's Oracle. I have an empty library. Win the game. It's a catch-all. I don't have anything else to do. It also is a little bit more proactive where it's like, cool, this person I believe is going for this line, and I can't let them get to their hand, to their turn. Praetor's Grasp obviously doesn't search their hand, so if it's in hand already, well,
then you'll find out as you're searching, unfortunately.
dang it. You don't look at their hand. So like, okay, cool. What do they have in hand? This deck normally plays.
You're like, okay. You're searching through and you're like, okay, well, I can't take their Underworld Breach, so I can't stop that combo. Okay. But or do they have all the pieces? Hold on. And you search through, and all of a sudden you'll find their Brain Freeze. You're like, oh, I'm just gonna exile that.
Okay, now how are they gonna win? They're gonna make everyone draw 7 cards each turn with like a wheel effect.
Right.
Not great because then people can counter in response to that. They can exile different cards in response to that. So at least it's like something to like help you out. It's a proactive and a reactive piece. Cool. I'm gonna win the game and I'm gonna stop my opponent from winning the game based on what they need. Cool. I need a silence effect. Cool. Dahada doesn't have necessarily everything else. They already played the Underworld Breach. Cool. Go get a silence, play my own Underworld Breach, win the game. Praetor's Grasp is a catch-all. It's sorcery speed. It can't win on top of people. It's definitely I prefer Praetor's Grasp over Mnemonic Betrayal. It's won me more games, but it seems like more people play Mnemonic Betrayal a lot more than Praetor's Grasp.
Well, that, and you don't need to. I think the main reason is you don't need to rely on your opponents doing something in order for you to get a special effect.
Okay.
You kind of just know, just by looking at a lot of colors in our format, that you know kind of what they're probably going for.
Sure.
And so it feels more like just a 3-mana tutor of someone else's deck.
Sure.
Rather than, oh, well, I hope people put good cards in the graveyard, and then I'll Mnemonic Betrayal, and I'll hope I can figure something out between all of your graveyards. I think that's kind of why.
Interesting.
So
I definitely like this in like decks like Talion. I've definitely been thinking about Talion more and more recently with the bans. How does it really interact? Praetor's Grasp is like, cool. I have Thassa's Oracle, Demonic Consultation is my main win con, right? Outside of maybe like damage over the next 20 turns. We'll see. So Praetor's Grasp seems like another way to like, cool. Thassa's Oracle is such a prominent way to win in the meta. Cool. I cast my Thassa's Oracle. It got countered. Well, I don't necessarily have a way to bring it back. Cool. But I know he's playing red. I know he might have an Underworld Breach. Cool. I can go get that piece to then reattempt my win con. Opposed to, like you said, Mnemonic Betrayal. Cool. No one's wheeled. No one's played any spells so far. Or there's all the
or they have nothing but creatures in the yard or something.
Or everything's exiled.
Right.
Everything's exiled. There's nothing in it. Someone's already time twisted.
Yeah, right.
Cool. This card is pitched to force, and that's about all it's really doing anytime. Whereas Praetor's Grasp is, I get it's 1 black opposed to 1 blue. A little bit more difficult to play. Definitely in mono black, super easy.
Right.
In 3 color, 4 color, okay.
It's a little finicky.
Sure. It seems about 29% of play in CDH and only about 2% in EDH. So it makes sense. Cool. Your zombie deck isn't going to give me the win the same way that my dragon deck is going to win. So why would I need to go grab your 1 zombie that outside of like stopping maybe 1 win condition that you may or may not have?
Yeah, it's kind of like, I feel like in casual pods this would be like this would be a thing that you do against your friends.
I know what you have. I know your 1 win condition.
I know the way you combo. I'm gonna Praetor's Grasp it away.
Your mind crank.
Yeah, right.
Can't win now, buddy.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
So I understand why this only sees about 2% of play in EDH for sure.
Speaking of a lot of black pips, the next one on the list sees about 25% of play. I love this card in Malcolm.
I think this card's kind of underplayed just in general.
I think it is. I think a lot of people are definitely heavy on Necro or on ad nauseam effects right now, but I think this card You want to take it away?
Yeah. So this is Beseech the Mirror. So Beseech the Mirror is a 1 black
Ooh.
sorcery.
A necropotence, if you will.
Yeah.
Plus one more.
Plus one extra mana.
Sure.
I can't remember what is the actual wording on the card of the effect.
Bargain.
The effect is bargain.
Bargain.
You may sacrifice an artifact, enchantment, or token as you cast this spell. So it's a little bit specific.
So you can't just sacrifice a creature, but you can sacrifice a token creature.
Right, but that's why when you mentioned Malcolm, you can sacrifice a treasure to this effect,
Perfect.
right? Which works out perfectly. So you search your library for a card, you exile it face down so nobody knows what you tutored for. You then shuffle. If this spell was bargained, you may cast the exiled card without paying its mana cost if that spell's mana value is 4 or less. Put the exiled card into your hand if it wasn't cast this way. So here's the thing with Beseech, right? You can tutor whatever CMC you want.
Sure.
But if you want the free effect, you tutor 4 or less.
Okay.
This card, again, I think is underplayed because you're paying essentially for 2 demonic tutors, but you are getting at most 8 mana worth of card for 4 mana. Right? Because you're casting it for 4,
sure,
sacrificing a thing,
sure,
and then casting another 4 for completely free. Up to 4.
So essentially it's a free spell if it resolves and you get a 4 CMC. So it's like the one reason why this did see a lot of play when it did was because of the One Ring.
Yes.
Right? Cool. Sacrifice, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then you get to cast it for free. So you get the protection from it. And you basically say, cool, I spent 4 mana to go get it and play it at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Great. The One Ring has seen same amount of play, but it definitely feels a lot less.
Yes.
It feels a lot less, but still a really insanely good card. Cool. Draw 1 card whenever it comes down. Draw 2, draw 3, draw 4, draw 5.
Mm-hmm.
What's the land?
Manamo.
Manamo. Still sees a decent amount of play.
Yeah.
I don't know why anyone wouldn't play it if you're playing the One Ring and you're playing blue. Some people don't.
I do in all mine, but I mean, some people have their qualms with it for sure.
Sure. So, Beseech the Mirror. I mean, you could go get Mindbreak Trap and not reveal it and put it to your hand.
Yep.
And you could bargain and then choose not to play it for free. And people are like, you know what? I'm going to hold this. And they're like, what did he go get?
Yeah, right. It's another sneaky thing. We like a little bit of sneakiness in our plays for sure. So we go ahead and bargain it because we just don't need something around. We're like, let's not.
It would be funny, like getting Beseech to then put it to your hand, then go to end step to then discard and then corpse dance in response.
Right. There's just so much fun things.
It would be Magic Christmas Land.
Oh, for sure.
But Beseech the Mirror is, like you said, it's not played as much. It was definitely, there was a lot of hype when it first came out.
100%. Mainly because of the One Ring.
The One Ring came before this, then Beseech the Mirror. It sees 25% of play out of all the decks, out of the Invitational. Insanely good. I really like it, and it feels like similar to like green.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why, like, this and Lively Dirge,
Yes.
both feel incredibly good. They're about 5 mana. 1, 2, 1. Yeah, about 5 mana.
Okay.
Lively Dirge is 1 and a black, and then you can either pay 1 more or 2 more. You could pay 5 total.
Okay.
So it's really just 1 black pip and then whatever other colorless that you want to. And basically you can entomb it and then reanimate a 3 or 4 CMC creature similar to this. And that's one reason why like Beseech the Mirror and Lively Dirge feel a lot like green. Cool. Pay 3 mana, sacrifice a creature, go get whatever it is to the battlefield instantly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and black hasn't had anything else like that. And being able to have a creature combo or a combo that says, cool, put it onto the battlefield. Not because a lot of these things are like, cool, demonic tutor, right?
Mm.
Pay 2, go get something, then you have to then cast it.
Right. Black just is such a powerful color. And I think, I don't know if I just didn't think about it until we were actually sitting here talking about it.
Okay.
Just how powerful black actually is. Because we brought it up in a previous episode when we were talking about black, and now sitting here going over each card individually, the power of black is hard to match. Is very, very hard to match.
What other color goes and gets exactly what you need?
Every time you need it, and can do so many powerful things at instant speed. and
Draw you a bunch
had
of cards.
so many just good win conditions, even if it doesn't have another color attached to it.
Yep.
Very, very powerful color. Surprised to see it at the top, but I'm happy to see it at the top because I think it deserves it. I think it earns it.
Yes, it has won the top dog award.
Yes.
It's indisputed. Black is the best color. It's at least the best color in CDH
Yes.
and EDH. We are the Turning Point meta. We appreciate you guys coming out. Next week we'll be going over our final color, which is multicolor. We hope that you guys come out and see, and we will catch you next week as always.
Thanks, everyone.
We'll take it easy.